Hi, everyone. Welcome back to God's Whispers, a place where we take the time to pause and reflect on the word of the Lord. Today I'm going to be speaking about the Gospel according to John, chapter 2, verses 13 through 22. And it seems like this is a side of Jesus that we don't often hear about. Let's listen. Since the Passover of the Jews was near, Jesus went up to Jerusalem. He found in the temple area those who sold oxen, sheep, and doves, as well as the money changers seated there. He made a whip out of cords and drove them all out of the temple area with the sheep and oxen, and spilled the coins of the money changers and overturned their tables. And to those who sold doves, he said, "Take these out of here and stop making my Father's house a marketplace." His disciples recalled the words of the scripture, "Zeal for your house will consume me." At this, the Jews answered and said to him, "What sign can you show us for doing this?" Jesus answered and said to them, "Destroy this temple, and in 3 days I will raise it up." And the Jews said, "This temple has been under construction for 46 years, and you will raise it up in 3 days?" But he was speaking about the temple of his body. Therefore, when he was raised from the dead, his disciples remembered that he had said this, and they came to believe the scripture and the word that Jesus had spoken. So this was a time during Passover when the area in Jerusalem would have been packed with pilgrims. The temple was a place of prayer and worship and to just encounter God. But instead, he found it looking like a marketplace where merchants were selling animals for sacrifice, money changers charging fees. And at first glance, it looked like a practical setup for a marketplace, but it was where greed and exploitation had crept in. People had taken advantage in the name of religion. So that's where Jesus acts. He drove them out, overturned the tables, and it's startling but not reckless because it was a holy type of anger that burned for justice and reverence. The temple was the center of Jewish life, spiritually, culturally, politically. So Jesus challenging this system wasn't about cleaning up the marketplace. He was revealing something new, the building of the person, when he says, "Destroying this temple, and in 3 days I will raise it up." The people are confused, but later John explains that Jesus was talking about his body. So Jesus wasn't necessarily angry at money. He was angry when worship became a transaction. The message still resonates today because we all have what we can say are spaces in our hearts that should be meant for God, but are cluttered with distractions of pride or the noise from the outside world. So sometimes Jesus needs to flip a few tables in our own hearts, not to condemn us, but to clear space for Him again. So journal prompts that will go along with this would be, what tables might Jesus want to overturn in my life? Are there habits, distractions, or things of attachment that crowd out His presence? And where has worship become routine and transactional instead of being a relationship? And what would it look like to make more room for that quiet, sacred awareness of God's daily presence in life? And finally, how can I see Jesus's anger not as rage, but as a love that fights for what's holy? I hope this message made you think a little bit, because it made me think of how to further become more relational with God. And if you feel like a friend, could use that same encouragement, please feel free to pass it along. And don't forget to subscribe so you can continue to hear God's whispers.